Let's read some comments, shall we? I was watching a video by my man Curtis Stone, the urban farmer, and he had disabled comments on his channel. Let me close this. Oh, there we go. It's okay, buddy. He had disabled comments on his YouTube channel, and then he said, I'm going to throw them back up there, and then he said, I'll read some of the comments. And I said, that's a pretty good idea. I thought that would be actually interesting. I thought you might find it engaging. And then I'm going to go through some of the comments that were held for review that I guess YouTube thinks is spam. So let's check these out. And so let's see if I go down here. Why is it not going down there? Watch out, Bubs. All right, here we go. So these so my man John C. So look, we're going to go. So I'm under my page here. Excuse me, big man. And you can see comments, and we got held for review, likely spam. And we'll start with just a couple of these comments here. John C. is a good contributor, a good guy out of Oregon. Says Pablo approves. Those little brown mountains smell for themselves. That's the fertilizer that Pablo dumped into the ground when I was taking for a walk the other day. Then he then he speaks some Greek, I guess. Control what we can. Hey, buddy. Jeez Louise, everybody. Hey, and John said, hold on a second, buddy. Come here. Stop. Let me pause it real quick. I got some naysayers on my channel saying, Pablo distracts you. And, nothing I can do about it. He's part of the family, man. Be like saying my kids distract me. It's just the way it is. All right, so John says, debt always increases risk. We made sure we were debt-free upon retirement. Watch out, Bubs. You keep doing that. Now, that is, all right, you can't do that, Bubs, because I don't have enough power in here. All right, here we go. It's distracting. Oh, there we go. Debt always increases risk. We made sure we were debt-free upon retirement. Can't control the Fed or the repo rate or the weather, but we can use a modicum of discipline and spend only the cash now that we're retired. Yep, exactly. Lee B says, I follow just fine, but my concern is, what if I want to buy a new car or spend on a big ticket item? This is my video about the huge retirement planning strategy no one ever talks about. And I'm going to clean that up a little bit, Lee. I'm going to clean that up a little bit because we haven't done, I did the initial, then I had a bunch of good comments that say, hey, how about this, how about that? So I want to clean that up. First off, full screen view is scary. Pensions and no, this is on the retirement plan that works every time. Pensions and no debt really both free you. Cash flow is king, queen. Used to like to go to new house shows and amazed at young people buying. Yeah, debt, exactly, Scott. Actually, it's interesting because the retirement plan that works every time, my friends, is just no debt and a pension. Ultimately, it's no debt. Dwayne Fee says, this is a great story that's worth sharing with young people coming out of high school who might be undecided about their path forward. Which pension option did you recommend for this guy? I think he recommended himself, actually, Dwayne. He was going to buy a joint survivor life pension. And I think it was just a joint survivor life with probably a 20-year period certain. Comment for the cause, says Michael AK. Oh, look at that. Look at that puppy dog. Oh, comment for the cause. Good job. We were learning a lot at my retirement at 60. What happens with Social Security? Nancy DeBusek from Florida gives me hearts for the retirement plan that works every time. Jake Manchester. Josh, I believe broccoli is not good for a dog because I had mentioned how I given Pablo some broccoli to help him with his regularity, if you will. So I don't know, but he did take a big old poop. Unfortunately, it's not good for me either because he stunk up this place. Let me tell you, woo, that was stinking. Wasn't that right, big man? It was stinking. Ooh, methane gas. All right, my man Alberto's a mainstay of the channel. Love Alberto. Him and his better half, Ann. They say, really enjoy the number of people. If you stamp retirement, go ready. Perhaps you should have a slogan stamp says, 1 million retirees served. Right on. BB, retirement plan that works for everyone. With the Trump tax law, lots of money was given to corporations instead of passing those monies into their employees. The many but not all repurchased stocks to increase the price of their stocks. For the middle class, more money in their paychecks but less deductions. It's not a wash, man. More money in their paychecks and less deductions. There aren't less deductions. They're actually higher standard deductions. I don't get this. People don't understand. I mean, look, I think they do. They just don't want to because they have this binary thing. Trump is bad. The other guy's good. Thus, anything Trump does is bad. If you increase the standard deduction, which he did, and inherently you're increasing you're decreasing the amount of taxable income that you have. That's just a fact. I mean, there's no other way around it. So if you were itemizing before and had $21,000 of write-offs, well, now if you're married filing jointly, you have $24,000 immediately just with standard deduction. So it's just a fact. You increase the standard deduction, less people pay taxes. Thus, it's a middle tax cut. It's literally, this, Frank, is not debatable. Do you think instead of trickle-down economics, the majority of the tax cut was given to the middle class would be healthier for the economy? Again, it was. How do we know that? Because the poor don't pay taxes. The middle class pays a little bit for sure, but when they increase their standard deduction, inherently they have less taxes to pay. It's just this fundamental. It's not. I can't tell you during the tax time last April how many people said, I didn't get a tax refund. I'm like, huh? And I said, how much tax did you pay? I paid $10,000. How much did you pay last year? I paid $12,000. Well, you got a tax cut. And they were looking at their tax cut via the refund. It's weird, man. But my man, pizza for me, I started doing better by not watching cable TV, not watching reduce my impulses purchase. Man, that's right on. And my anxiety about retirement. If you don't have a pension, you can buy an annuity. Right on, man. I could not agree with that more. I'm at the lower end of the income scale, so I'm used to living frugal. I 100% could not agree with that more. I could not agree with that more. I got rid of Facebook. I'll never be on Twitter. And my anxious level went down dramatically. And I don't even watch cable TV. I don't even know why we have it. My wife wants it because she likes the local TV news in the background. I just said, put on music in the background. Local TV news is stupid. But until the kids are out of the house, I guess we'll probably keep cable. But after that, we won't have it. In fact, we just bought our first Amazon Fire Stick the other day. Haven't done anything with it yet, but we'll use that here shortly. And at that point, we probably won't even have cable, just stream on internet. Deep Scuba Diver, another guy's on here frequently. If you ever have a choice between taking a job that offers on a pension versus another one with a 401k, take the pension since pensions are for life. Unlike others, you have to worry about running out of money. I don't necessarily agree with that because at least a 401k, after a couple of years, if not right out the gate, you're vested in that money. A pension, you have to work there for a certain amount of years. So you're literally stuck. That's why they're called the golden handcuffs. This on my CO2 emissions at lowest level since 1950s. This guy says, at this rate, America will match European per capita emissions in 30, 40 years. I don't care. I could care less. Emissions don't bother me. My man Mark from Philly, where I say looming real estate price decline is why you should rent. We are done with the mortgage. We previously lived in South Jersey, which I live too, and owned property in Philly where me and my wife grew up. The Philly neighborhood we grew up has been going through an extreme gentrification. A house we paid practically nothing for if you were to buy a complete or renovated house would now cost $325. Got the row house in Philly and now mortgage free and expenses are way less. Yeah, it's a row house with a very small yard, but it's way less maintenance. We also have an empty lot we're looking to develop and use 100% equity. Right, freaking right on, Mark. Right on. I mean, this is the ebb and flows of urban decay, urban gentrification, urban hipster types, and then right back to slowly urban decay, urban gentrification, just ebbs and flows. The problem I see with the real estate is there's a construction boom in the Philly area where the trades are making great wages. I see these young people buying huge houses and big mortgages. What's going to happen when the boom stops and they have trouble finding work? I completely agree. Going back to what this guy said up here about people taking debt and buying houses, that just means debt. Buying big houses right here. Used to see new houses shows and amazing young people buying. That just means debt. 100% agree. And that's the issue. You can afford it with your current cash flow. That's what I talk about in my book. Strategic money planning. If that cash flow stops or is declined for some reason, you no longer can afford it. That's the problem. Gen X dividend investor who looks like he has a channel said, I think it's awesome to provide a perspective that calms people who are scared about retirement. That peace of mind you provide is probably worth a lot more than anything else they could get. Big A says it's un-American for anyone who downvotes a video with a dog dropping in a deuce. I completely agree. Twin Cherry gave how much does a single person need to retire? 136 or 300. Spoiler alert. Steve says live within your means. We live in a small home and my wife has always said it's too small. Now when she complains, I remind her that we are retired and time to downsize. Listen to this. Enjoy life while you can. Taking mom on a trip next year, book and pay for a Viking cruise on the Rhine. She always wanted to do that. My dad was in the 78th Lightning Division, and his 310th Regiment was the first to cross the Rhine at the Lunenburg Bridge in Remagen. Seen a lot of pictures from the division's history book, but want to breathe the same air. Wife was born in Germany. Her father was in the Polish army and captured and imprisoned in a camp in Germany. Her mother was taken from her family in the Ukraine and also sent to a German labor camp. They both met after the war ended. Married, had my wife immigrate to Denver, Colorado, then moved to Chicago, where he and she married. I often wondered if my dad and her folks ever crossed paths in Germany after the war. And that's where I said, that's that white privilege coming in. Because remember, the white privilege had everything handed to you on a silver platter. Cindy B says she loves our channel. She has, and this is an issue, a $900 a month pension, no debt, but will be 62 in January, have medical pre-existing conditions. And my younger husband, who's 60, has me on his medical insurance. He will have $1,000 a month pension. He also has pre-existing conditions, and that's the problem, man. You got pre-existing conditions before Medicare, and he's got to stay at his work. There's no other way around that because you're not going to find healthcare that's very cheap if you have these pre-existing conditions. I don't think. I mean, you might as well look around. Health insurance is keeping him from retiring, and that's right. I replied back saying that's the issue with the public option, frankly. And I think the Democrats screwed that up by focusing on the uninsured, because I hate to say it, but the uninsured are this amount of people, the insured are this amount of people. So that's, we're all sacrificing for this group of people. What they should have done is saying, we're going to give you a public option so you don't have to stay at your crappy old job solely for health care. And they screwed that up with Obamacare. Now, Republicans, if they were smart, which they are not, they would come back and say, no, we get it. We want to have more flexibility for people who don't need pre-existing condition coverage, but also have a public option. And then we'd all be, I think you got to give a little bit here. If you're going on the public option, you got to pay more. No other way around that. If you're not going on the public auction, you have catastrophic, but you're going to have to pay more. I mean, just in terms of your, you're going to have to more deductibles and things like that. But then you don't have to rely on your job. That's the thing. Then you can be free of the job. Nick E says, I fancy you as a man who can strike up a conversation with a gnat carcass you found unexpectedly on a park bench. Yeah, my man Bruce says smash TPG. That's a stock I looked at, pretty interesting. And then he says, don't smash Pablo's poop. You gave him broccoli. Whatever you do, don't give him Brussels sprouts. If you do, gas emissions will have the climate change folks screaming. Exactly. I did talk about my getting rid at some point of offering the right capital software. That won't affect anyone who's already in there. Just FYI. If you're already in it, I'm not going to take it away from you unless I stop paying for it, and I don't plan on doing that. I just I don't know what I'm going to do. At the end of the day, I had a couple of people back to back say, it's not worth the hassle of saying you couldn't log in and stuff. It's more of a hassle than it was. But then, generally speaking, I haven't had that many problems. So I just vacillate. But at some point, probably end of the year, I probably won't offer it anymore. If you're already in there, you're fine. Just be advised. El Catrine, I appreciate the straight up feelings and sentiment you provide with your videos. I'm 8 years away from retirement and would love to be one of your clients who checks in every year or so before it comes. Right on. Gracias. That means thank you in Spanish. Curtis says, good Pablo and rambling and talking. Add and that 1.4 trillion reserves slosh around looking for a home. Yeah, I completely agree, Curtis. I mean, that money is looking for some place to go, and when it lands there, it's going to increase the prices of those places for it to go. And then about the retirement plan that works every time. Fear the Turtle said, even better if you have retiree health insurance for you and your spouse. 100% agree. We talked about the cable box with 600 watts. My man American First says it's impossible without knowing what the cable box was to accurately calculate and determine if what he said was true in his case. That this guy said he was using 600 watts for his cable box. And I said, that's nuts, dude. That means you times 600 by 24, you're using 14 kilowatt hours a day. I don't believe that. And when I ran mine, I think I was using like 25 watts. So I don't even think it was that, but let's just say 25 times 24. That's less than 1 kilowatt hour a day, which is 5 cents. So I don't buy the vampire stuff at all. But he says he had read that cable box was only second to energy use. There's no way. I mean, first cable boxes use electricity, energy use via natural gas, oil, whatever you're using. Is going to be much higher on any kind of heating. Hell, just your energy use on your hair dryer and stuff like that for electricity would be certainly higher than a cable box, without question. The fridge Probably using fridge runs probably 150, maybe 200, probably 500. We'll just say 500 watts. Right now, the fridge is running probably 1,200 watts when the compressor kicks in. So you're probably averaging in a fridge, 200 watts. We'll say 500. You're probably averaging 8 kilowatt hours a day or so. Going back to retirement plan that works every time, where I said about CO2 killing everybody. My man Dan says there used to be 60 million buffalo. Now there's way less cattle in this country. It's not the cows that cause CO2 with methane gas. That's a great point, man. Great point. And you think about 60 million buffalo, CO2 emissions were low. We have a whole lot less than that cattle in this country, so it's not the methane gas that's causing the rise of global warming. Let's just put it that way. That's a great point. Just remember, you got water vapor, you got methane, and then you got CO2. CO2 is by far the smallest of the three. It's a fraction. Water vapor is the biggest. Clouds. For years, this on my retirement plans. For years, the so-called experts have been telling us that Americans, if we don't have 1 million saved, retirement, we won't be able to retire comfortably. They still tell us that. Luckily, I have people like Josh telling how it is. Well, I appreciate that, Scott. Same little square box on cat. Okay, that's for. Thank you for another fun video. You should specialize in retirement planning. Have no debt. What your expenses are based on 1 and 2. This one you should retire and start enjoying life. You can make so many people happy doing it real. Okay, it doesn't take millions to be happy. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing on my YouTube channel. My man Robert says, I just discovered your channel a couple of days ago, and I've been watching and learning tons. I just followed your training and verified what Social Security Administration says I'll have at 67, so my formula is spot on, and just a couple more. My man Sun Light says, comment on fentanyl ad. I didn't know they had a fentanyl ad on my YouTube channel. I don't know what ads they have. Let's face it, the country is not serious about stopping the opioid drug epidemic. Fentanyl doesn't walk out of the box. Someone is distributing it. And I said, yeah, what do you plan? I agree. What do you plan on doing about it? And my thing is just legalize everything. It's freaking nuts. The drug war is lost. All right. This guy says TD Ameritrade. So let's pause here. I'll do another one on likely spam, and we'll see what that is. So we'll pause here. We'll post this. And we'll come back and do unlikely spam.